Alright guys, so we are Standard POS, and we are, again, just a quick review, we're going over the video browsing tool. So it's just, in summary, an application that's going to manage users' video files in terms of anything that they've recorded, they upload, and they're going to be ready for processing. At that point, they'll be able to choose what processes they'd like to apply, or algorithms, sorry, they'd like to apply, and then we show those to them. So just to start off, here's a quick look at our front-end coverage that we have. As you can see, there's a lot of grades, so we're doing really good at getting our coverage in terms of front-end. And if we scroll down, we can actually get to our back-end coverage. It's a lot smaller since there are not as many components for tests in React. But as you can see, overall we have 89% of all our files being covered through testing, and Array can actually explain the reason why there's a couple that are a little as performance.
So in the same video file, here we are actually, we do have to stub the entire module but not an individual function, so we were not able to do it. So FFmpeg, it's the thing which takes the screenshot of the video, so we were not able to stub that. It was a standalone function. We'll do that on this.
And that really summarizes the reason for the coverage. So we're going to go ahead and show the actual progress for the application that we have so far. So again, this is just the splash page that we have when we first get to. Go ahead and log in here. We're actually just going on a pre-made account here. So we'll go ahead and upload and show that the upload functionality is doing. So in this iteration, we actually implemented, before we were just uploading the video and presenting it, we've also associated the data in terms of description and name, which we weren't able to do before for some details. So if we can just, the user can actually include description if they'd like to have some distincting ID. So from here we have our thumbnail. We'll go ahead and actually play the video. And in this case, this is currently being implemented a little different than we had wished for. We've had the video streaming for a couple of iterations right now, but we've had an issue with authenticating the stream. So the way that React Player works on the front end, it requires, there's no way to do authorization or adding the headers except by forcing the player, the response, to be an HLS request. So because of that, right now we're doing a no authorization just based on the video ID. And the next iteration we'll be implementing HLS, which is HTTP live streaming. And at that point, we'll be able to add the authorization header to the request and be able to handle the authorization on the API side. So far, this is not authenticated, but it shows just this is fine. We'll go ahead and also show the process actually. So here we are able to select the different algorithms that the user would like to apply to a specific video that they hold in their account. So once that happens, right now we're showing the actual status of those requests. Right now we have some refactoring to do to be able to show the actual name of the video. But as you can see there, the list actually, we've mocked the process so that the server, we've mocked the server that takes care of the processing. Now, since that is in our project, we just did a mock-up of it. And what that does is that it takes the videos, as you saw before, on the to be processed status to the process. And that's actually actively being pulled every single time, every time period. So as you saw, it actually moved from to be processed to process. So now here back at our dashboard, we can actually, we've moved the results page to our dashboard at the request of our sponsor. The dashboard in his image was supposed to be somewhere where you can see everything in one place. So we've gone ahead and moved it here. Before it was its own page. So here you can see the mock results of an algorithm that returns a video as a result. And then the next one shows just data. And this is all maintained from the previous iteration. We just had to move it to this particular place in the application. And finally, just implementing, previously we had implemented the endpoint to be able to delete from the from the data, from the server, sorry, and the database, but we hadn't actually implemented it on the web, on the application, but we've now been able to do that. As you can see now that the video is successfully gone from the application. I believe that's all we have in terms of the application so far. Yeah, I think for the next iteration, I think we mentioned this with something, that we're gonna go ahead and just manage a bit more errors. There's some things that,
just show the errors messages in the back end, implement pagination, and then so that way we can give that sorting for some functionality. And well, the rest is in our backlog. So
yeah, so look, on that note, we'll actually go ahead and show our backlog. First, we'll display what we have in terms of our current iteration backlog. We pretty much took care of a lot of the functionality that we had in our backlog, and that's a good success for us. One thing that I added at the backlog was that whole HLS server, which I was hoping to finish in the current iteration, but because of that, it was pushed onto the next one. So now if we go to Sprint 5 iteration backlog, we have, we're gonna be working, like I mentioned, the HTTP live streaming encoding that has to happen to be able to present the authorized video to the React player. There's also, as Arun mentioned, the testing and stubbing issues with FFmpg and FFmpro that will be implemented. Like we mentioned before, it'll be error handling, generate some results for the front end. We want to refactor some statuses of the endpoint so that it actually shows results to be sent to the user, and then pagination and sorting also. And then just some general front-end things that we need to just make it a lot more intuitive to the user while they're using the application. And another thing that I actually did fail to mention is that we've actually successfully completed the Dockerizing of our application. Since we did it a bit in the middle or end of developing, there was a good time of work that was done on that, but we can actually show our Dockerized containers at the moment, which are here. And they're all running on the current machine, their own Docker containers, and we've meshed them in their own network as well. And I believe